Hello, and welcome to another episode of Philosophical Bones. I'm Nick,
I'm Keith.
and it's been a few weeks, I think.
Yeah.
since
Well, work can do that to you.
I got a new schedule and everything, so I've been trying to balance everything
Well,
out.
I was telling the fans in the last couple episodes, or I'm just going to say listeners, that I was telling the listeners in the last couple episodes that the schedule has kind of changed a little bit, and we'll fall into our new routine.
Yeah, we'll get to it eventually. Tonight, really, I just wanted to kind of come over and do an episode because I was like, I kind of miss doing this.
You got studio withdrawals. That's what I call it.
So today's question. Well, I actually want to point out. It's kind of funny. We're doing this question on. We're recording this on Mother's Day.
Right.
So I thought it was kind of funny we're doing this. But so a friend of mine who had nicknamed Curly Sue.
Shout out
She
Curly
kind of
Sue.
gave me the inspiration for this question. And so today, question 21 is...
Damn, are we at 21?
We're at 21, yeah. Why do we engage in toxic relationships?
Dude, and it's such an interesting question because, like I was telling you, I've been reading a lot about like psychology and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I really do believe it honestly starts in your own head. It's like, say you have... I'm just going to try to put this so bluntly.
Yeah.
Like, say you have, for a lack of a better, I hate using this phrase.
Yeah.
But like, say you have daddy issues. Dude, I'm making a point.
No, you are.
Like that. So you engage with men that, if you're a woman in this situation, then you have daddy issues.
Yeah.
You engage with men that are destructive because you're like trying to look to replace that figure in your life.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy stuff, man.
You could honestly go with you could honestly say the same thing about
moms
too.
There's a term for that too. Well, there's a clinical term for that.
Is there?
Yeah, it's Oedipism.
Oh, well, that's Oedipus complex.
Yeah, well,
that's where the son wants to kill the father and marry the mother.
Yeah, which is weird. Like the brain is weird.
Well, that used to happen a lot in like ancient Rome and stuff.
The brain is weird.
And Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
Medieval times.
Yeah.
But that's it. Because I bring an example with. I probably honestly sought like mother figures out in my life.
Well,
over time, over time, where I've gotten to know women who are fucking phenomenal women. Mm-hmm. And they've honestly been like mother figures to me in a way.
I get that, dude.
I think I always kind of like sought that out a little bit because honestly, like I do not have a good relationship with my mom at all. I personally have not spoken to her. I haven't seen her in 6 years in person, and I probably haven't spoken to her in 5.
Right.
That's by my own choice.
Yeah.
I don't get along with her, and she's a very toxic person to me.
Toxic,
to me,
yeah,
not
toxic.
to my brother and my sister. Don't necessarily feel that way in the most part. I think my brother kind of does, but. My sister has she has a good relationship, but I got away from that relationship because it was damaging to me.
Yeah, see, and I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
And I think I wrote something down, a point. Actually,
you got a bullet point.
I actually do have some bullet points for this one. So
bullet points.
So actually, good way to go into this would be
I wish we could have some sound effects of gun firing.
So we can either go in one of two directions. So to start with, I think we'll get back to it if we don't deal with it. But the three I have are how do you know you're in a toxic relationship? Loyalty towards family, because a lot of times it is members of your family that do have that, and you kind of have a hard time getting away from that. And then how do we deal with it?
Dude.
So which one do you want to start with?
So I'm going to start with how you deal with it.
Okay.
Like so today.
Because I kind of started that too.
Well, like with like I was telling you about today. Mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna try to not rabbit hole here quick. But like so I have this issue. I create toxic relationships. Like that, I do it subconsciously, and I do it to myself. Like the other, I'm talking.
You sabotage yourself.
I'm talking about like boyfriend girlfriend relationships. That's what I'm talking about right now. So like I'm really bad about seeing something normal and finding the shit that could be wrong and obsessing. And so I'm the toxic person in that situation.
Well, it's kind of like when it comes to memories. Like we remember the bad memories.
Yeah.
We don't really remember the good memories. And that you can kind of say the same thing.
Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying though?
Yeah, where your mind goes, it goes to the worst place possible.
Yeah.
It's like, actually a good example would be like, this person, you text someone and then you're like,
yep.
And you don't hear from them for like, a few minutes. And you're like, oh, what's going on? Maybe they don't want to talk to me anymore.
And then you think of every scenario.
What's going on? And then like, maybe 10 minutes goes by or, maybe an hour. And you're like, oh, what the hell? Like, why haven't I heard from them?
Like, who's to say when they pick up their phone?
And I'm never going to hear from them again? Yeah. and your mind just goes to these crazy places. And then all of a sudden you get a text message, an hour later or
then
whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I was doing this.
It's like letting the air out of a balloon.
Yeah, you have
It's
to.
literally what
You have to just create this worst case scenario in your mind.
Yeah.
Well,
the reason I brought that up is like being the toxic person in the relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to do that.
Yeah.
It's really easy to let all your psychoses, let all your shit that you think about and you obsess about that you're going to apply onto this new relationship that you've experienced in past relationships. There's no reason to say it's going to be the same thing.
True.
So being the toxic person in the relationship is just as easy.
Yeah.
That's.
It kind of sucks when you end up recognizing that about yourself.
Dude, yeah.
Because no one wants to be that person. No one really ever thinks about that themselves as being that person.
And then you realize it
until maybe like in hindsight.
Yeah. Well, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
I had to say that.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say it, and I was just like, no.
I beat you to it.
Oh.
So, and you're also in your mind, you were talking about like family relationships and stuff like that.
So or like we were on like how we deal with it.
Oh, how I deal with it.
Or no, that's the first point we were going to, right? How we deal with.
Well, you're 100% right. Let me finish. Like you're 100% right, and I just like went off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's all good.
The way I dealt with it today, with like me being, I don't want to be the toxic one.
Yeah.
Like, so I distracted myself today by like fucking spring cleaning my house. Like I didn't give myself time to have that OCD and be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like that's, for me, it's distraction. That's the best way to do with it. Like, do you have anything there?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say how I dealt with because honestly, I can really say like the one toxic relationship I have or had in my life was my mother. Because I just never got anything out of that relationship.
And that's an emotional like scar.
Well, you look at somebody and you're like, what does this person add to my life? And honestly, my mom just never really added much to my life. I know it's super bad to say.
Well, I get you though, because I was piggybacking.
Except the only thing she added in my life was like drama,
right?
And I didn't want that.
Well, like piggybacking on what you were just saying is like I was telling you earlier. Like the one thing, like doesn't matter like if it's a friend relationship, a family relationship. I use the phrase end game. Like what's this going to be at the end?
Yeah.
And I tend to like think about that, and that's not that's not good. But,
well, yeah, it's like when you first enter a relationship with someone and
how is this going to end?
Or you play out the scenario of like, oh, what could potentially happen in the future, and you like play out like 6 months of a fantasy in your head.
Well, like every long-term girlfriend I've ever had, I've had it in my mind consciously every single time.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how long this goes before it goes bad.
That's a horrible way to go into something, man.
Well, I'm telling you.
That's your problem right there.
I know. Like I told you, I'm the toxic one, and I'm trying to fix that.
You're a glass half empty kind of guy.
Yeah. Like my last girlfriend was 2 years ago, and like we were doing good, and then I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, this isn't gonna last forever.
That was honestly that girl though. That girl was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But I was also blind, man.
Yeah, I know. Love will do that to you. It really is. Like you put those little rose-colored glasses on you, man.
Yeah, it'll make you blind. Like it'll make you do stuff that you wouldn't do.
Especially when you get comfortable in those toxic relationships, actually.
Yeah.
Because it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily.
Well, I like the way you say.
Well, you'll actually see situations where people will have or be in toxic relationships, on a relationship side,
and you see it
on
from
a personal,
the outside.
Relationship side, not a non-family one, and they know what's going on and how fucked up everything is in their life and what this person is doing to them, but they just don't stop it because people will get so comfortable in those situations. They're like, yeah, I fucking hate what's going on, and I don't like this person anymore, or the person I'm becoming because of it, but I just can't get away from it.
Well, to again piggyback on what you just said, not to get heavy, but like think about this is the most blanket way I can put it. Like think about like women in abusive relationships where the male is abusive, and they get comfortable, or not comfortable, but they're afraid to leave.
Yeah,
and that's a toxic situation.
That's actually a good way to put it. Is they're afraid to leave the situation. I mean, well, the hardest thing too is just finally saying I've had enough, and being like,
that's the hard.
I know this is gonna fuck that person up. Maybe, but I need to do this for myself. And you have to be selfish sometimes.
You deserve to be selfish.
You deserve to be selfish. And that's actually something that is really hard to recognize for yourself.
Yeah, you deserve to be selfish.
Especially if you're a giving person. I mean, I'm a very giving person, I like to think. And I'm really, I mean, I'm sure there's probably one or two people out there who disagree with me.
Well, same with if there's a lot of people out there that would have be like, I'm going to put it this way: girls that have been in my life in the past, and listening to this and be like, oh, I fucking get it now.
Yeah,
I fucking get it now.
Like, no, he's way more of an asshole than that.
He's way more of an asshole than that, but he's also cracked. Yeah. I'm like a cracked egg, dude.
So on the side of just so we into the relationships, what about the side of family?
See, that's rough.
That's that's probably the toughest one. I mean, I can somewhat speak from experience because of like what I said when I went through, but mine wasn't even a really extreme case. I probably had a pretty mild case of a toxic relationship with a family member.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly don't get along with any of my mom's family at all. No. I don't talk to any of them, and I probably never will talk to them because I just don't get along with them.
Yeah.
They're not people I would just want to be around or know.
Yeah.
And I like to keep people in my life that I like, and I get something out of having a relationship with the interaction with that person. Because if you have someone in your life, it's not adding anything good or
what's the point?
Yeah, or like making giving you like thought. Or I keep wanting to think like thought provoking.
Well, just
somebody that enriches your life.
Just on what you were saying, like the way I've always looked at relationships in any faction is to be mutually beneficial to the other person. That I didn't mean to.
Well, one I think. Toxic relationship actually that comes about most is probably codependency. Dude, that's actually a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I might be a little bad saying this.
No,
I don't know. I don't know that.
No, we can try.
But I'm gonna just kind of mention your dad a little bit.
Yes. And here's the thing: this is a very good case study for what we're talking about.
Okay.
And this is legit. Now I'll talk about it. So my father had a stroke 4.5, almost 5 years ago. And here's the thing: is I put myself in his shoes.
Yeah. Like,
could you imagine? Because he was 6'3", 6'2", almost like 240 pounds.
Yeah.
And now he's down to fucking just under 100 pounds.
Wow.
So it's hard for me. So this is like I said, a huge case study on what we're talking about. And the thing is I can't put this into the realm of a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
I can put it into a relationship that is hard. Not hard, but no, it's for. I'm trying to be so sensitive.
I brought up like codependency a little bit.
Well, what I mean by codependency, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So like I put myself in his shoes, so it's hard for me to not want to try to do something about it. The thing is I can't do anything about anything, so it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
no, yeah, actually, it's a good.
It hurts my heart. Like I can be there as much as I can. This is something that I hope nobody's ever stricken by.
Yeah.
And for me it's like it's and this is very on the surface of the foam of what we're talking about because I do not want to say my dad's relationship with me is toxic.
No, I mean I wouldn't either.
But it's the thing is it's we could say it's toxic in the way that both of us are suffering.
Oh.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a shared like that's another good way to go at a toxic relationship is you're both sharing the same hardship. But you're also, see, that's another philosophical question. Like if you're
one thing I just thought of is I think most people do recognize when they're in that situation.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they feel like an obligation, maybe.
That's good point. Because like he'll call me and be like, "Oh, thanks for answering the phone. I just needed somebody to talk to."
Yeah.
It's like, no, Dad.
Yeah, it's like, and it sucks because I've seen this with actually a good example I can use is my neighbor.
Oh yeah,
she's a good friend of mine, and she's gone through so much with her mom. And actually, like, give a little story about her is so she had to start taking care of her mom. Her mom has like some brain issues, like she has a really bad memory and
cerebral shit.
Yeah, I think she's had a couple aneurysms.
Oh man,
like, she's had like spinal fluid on the brain. She's
you're making me rub my forehead.
Yeah, she's got some really big like major medical issues. But she had to start taking care of her mom because originally like she was getting taken care of by like her stepdad or something or her ex-husband for a little while, and then I guess her sister had started watching her. Then they started just like stealing shit from her or something.
Wow,
just a lot of fucked up shit. In fact, I think she's been trying to get like a restraining order or something for her sister or I think she might have gotten a court order so like her sister can't come over and see her.
Shit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a toxic relationship.
So yeah, she has a bad relationship with them. But she still like has her like nephews and nieces from them. Yeah. But anyway, so she's always fighting to like trying to get her mom better care or whatever. But I see how it's affected her life over the last 2 years,
Right.
and she honestly just does not have a life
So we're in the same
outside
boat.
because her mom needs constant care. She can't
Yeah.
even like work a real job. She wants to work,
Yeah.
and she every once in a while she'll just like do a job with somebody for like a day or two,
Just get some money.
just get a little extra money. I mean, she can still like pay her rent and stuff with the money she gets to take care of her
where you're-
mom.
I see where you're going.
But
with
her
this.
mom, and she knows it's a really toxic relationship. And I hear them arguing, like, not as much as they used to, but they used to argue all the time. I could hear it through the wall. And because her mom would be like, go into her room and like steal stuff and go through her
man.
things. And it was just insane. But so, like, she knows and I always like talk to her and I'm always just like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I really wish like something would happen where this would change. I keep telling her like, you need to get her in a nursing home. She's like, I've been trying.
So that falls in.
But she'll start crying and everything. And actually, it
Oh,
sucks because her
man.
mom actually just had a mild stroke, like just last week, I guess, or earlier this week. And it's.
I have a personal sensitivity. to
But
this
yeah,
subject.
sorry for such a long story, but
No.
I thought it was a good example of
Yeah.
somebody being in. And it's not even a codependent relationship, but it is a very toxic relationship between the two. But she obviously feels like she has to take care of her mom because she's the only person who will.
Well, I need to say this real
yeah.
quick. So where's the difference between like, okay, I got to say this perfectly. Drop my mic.
Yeah.
So like some people would be in a toxic relationship, but it's almost by like obligation.
Yeah.
I mean, like, or no, wrong way to say that. Making the right choice that you feel is the right choice. Like having you.
Well, you're just trying to be a good person, honestly.
Yeah,
like a
and-
good
and then-
son or daughter.
And then when that turns into a toxic relationship, like how do you navigate that? Like
That's really the question, right?
Yeah, like how do you navigate that? It's hard because you got to put you would be doing. Oh, I'm just going to use the phrase your relative. You'd be doing your relative, your friend, or whatever, a disservice to not actually put yourself in their shoes.
I think you just have to do the best you can, honestly.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I mean, I'm gonna hate. It's kind of bad to say something like this, but actually, I'm not gonna say it. I don't know.
it's a hard question, man.
It really is.
It's a hard question.
I don't know what if I was in that situation that she's in. I mean, honestly, just the relationship I have with my mother, like I'd pawn her off to anybody I possibly could because I
Right.
would not want to take care of her because
Yeah.
I can't be around her.
Right.
I personally cannot be around her because I can't stand her.
And when I've had toxic relationships with people that I just have met
Yeah.
that aren't even like family.
Yeah.
Like I choose to bring them into my life, and just bad things ensue just
Yeah.
because of knowing them.
Well, what about actually a good example too is what about people who say they like so you have some kids and then you get older and they have a family and then all of a sudden like that you start and you go and you live with them. Is it because like they feel like your kids feel obliged to take
Obligated?
care of you or
So you're talking about like the stepson, stepfather type.
no?
thing.
I'm talking about like a family just situation.
Oh, I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, this just kind of popped in my head about like.
Or just restate it so I can.
But,
I can compute.
Well, pretty much. So if you were to have if you were to have kids,
Okay.
and you get older, and your kids have kids, but you get
Okay.
to an age where you just kind of can't really take care of yourself as well
Right.
anymore, and so they move you into their house,
Right.
But at the same time, maybe you don't get along that well with your kids.
Well, that happens a lot. That happens
but your
a lot.
kids end up feeling obliged, like, oh, well, my dad's old. I was like, I guess. Actually, you see that sometimes is people are like, oh, well, I had kids, so somebody will take care of me when I'm older.
Right. Well, it's a big thing in. I'm just going to use the term Asian culture because it's all over the place. To where when you get old and you can't take care of yourself, you are obligated by culture to take care of them.
Yeah.
Bring them in and take. So in like China in particular, you'll have like 4 generations in one household. And
They have a lot better family dynamic though in those worlds.
They do.
I think.
They absolutely do.
Well, the U.S. is very different than a lot of other cultures because we kind of try to pawn off our.
off our old.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
It's like throw them in a nursing home, or we just want to kind of forget about
We just need
them.
to make way for the next. I want to do my.
And
own
in other
thing.
cultures, it's like no, they're like honored people.
Yeah, yeah. That's,
I saw one culture is like they after like a family member dies and they bury them like like a year later or like every year they'll dig them up
yeah.
and they'll like shower them with gifts and everything and it's crazy.
Think about like this is a broad stroke, but think about like I can't say it. Dia de los Muertos.
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 Maybe.
But
Muerte.
you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Muerte. Muerte?
Oh, man.
Whatever.
People are gonna be like, guys,
We don't speak
guys.
Spanish, obviously.
No, we grew up here, but we should. And I lost my point.
Actually,
there was-
like, well, one of the points I had in here was loyalty towards family.
There you go.
So
yeah.
actually, this was what kind of where I was going with the whole framework of the question was about loyalty.
Loyalty to family.
Yeah, because it's like that's actually a good way to put, or you got to find that kind of balance, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I've got a cool kind of like anecdote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when my mom passed away, I was 7 years old, and my dad, going back to what we were talking about earlier, would just spend time with me and get into the stuff. Like, my dad listened to Insane Clown Posse with me,
Really?
faking that he liked it.
Wow.
He tells me to this day that he likes it, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, that's what makes it kind of hard. You know, just those little type of things.
Yeah.
Like that makes it hard for me to not have loyalty to him. And God, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but like my mother's side of the family. If anybody out there, if you're my family and you actually listen to this, because I know some of my family does listen to this, that when my mother passed away, they put distance between myself and my dad,
Yeah.
simply because I believe I reminded them of
Oh
her.
yeah, that does happen.
And I do not fault them at all. And I'm publicly saying this. I do not fault them at all, and I understand. But that happened. You know, like my dad and myself kind of became.
I'd ask you right now about the we talk about loyalty towards family. I'd talk about like maybe like a brother sister situation.
Well, and I don't have.
But you don't. So I'll go into a little bit of mine. So I know like my brother and my sister, like actually just, you know, within the last year or so, they got into some stupid fight or whatever happened. So they don't talk anymore. Apparently my sister like can't stand my brother anymore. So she's in kind of the similar situation I am with my mom.
Oh.
But she still talks to like his girlfriend. Yeah. Well, because she's pregnant right now.
Oh,
yeah. It's not like they won't see each other again, but she's just like, she can't stand my brother
Right now it's
anymore.
just on hiatus.
And I was like, well, that's the same situation I have with my mother, so I get it. But yeah, when it comes to loyalty towards family, but at the same time,
it's a hard thing, man.
You know, because you do have a lot of families who have like multiple kids, and a lot of times with those kids like move away or they get fucked up on something, or maybe they just do something fucked up to you, and they just become estranged.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Or even they sometimes like, oh, well, you're my brother, like I have to have a relationship with you
Because I have to.
I'm always like, why personally? But that's me.
Well, like I don't have any biological.
I can't judge somebody the way somebody else is because I'm not honestly. The way I was raised is not like a big family type situation.
Okay.
Like it was like my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and me. And then I had like my dad's family, and my dad's family is really small too because it's like my two grandparents. I got 2 aunts and I got 2 cousins.
Okay.
That's like it.
Really?
Like, I do not have a big family. By any
I grew
means.
up. I grew up in an Irish Catholic family. My mother had 12 brothers and sisters.
I don't really have a bunch of cousins. I mean, on my mom's side of the family, like she's got like a brother, a sister, and I think of her sister is married. Well, both of her brother and sister are married, and then they have kids. And I just don't talk to any of them. So I know I have a few cousins on that side, but I just don't give a shit about them.
Dude, I bet I have at least 20 cousins.
Yeah. See, I just don't know, or I care. I just don't care about getting to know them
Well, that's fair
personally.
enough.
So, and I honestly don't. I don't feel I have any loyalty towards them. I always said about my mom.
Well,
I always said about my mom's brother, for instance. I just want to say this: like, I've never met him, and because I remember for years, like they were like my mom and him were like kind of estranged because he was like 14 years older than her.
Oh wow.
And so she never really knew him, and I guess later in life, like she got to know him. And I'm always like, I said for years, even when I was a teenager, I was like, if I ever saw that guy, I'd probably want to punch him in the face. I'd be like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I know I'll never beat him in my life, and I could give a shit less.
Well, it's not going to make a difference in your
I'd
life.
probably, if I ever saw him and met him, and he was like, oh, hey, I'm your uncle. I'm like, no, you're not. You're just some fucking asshole.
To share some DNA.
Like, I'd be like, fuck off, dude. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm related to you. We're family. I'm like, no, you're fucking not, dude. This is the first time I've ever met you in my life. And I'd probably be like 40 or whatever.
Big difference between.
I'd be like, yeah, okay. Or if I all of a sudden get a phone call like, your uncle died. I'm like, he's not my fucking uncle, and I could really give a shit less.
Yeah. Well,
I'm pretty harsh right now, I gotta say.
Give me one of these.
Little fist bump.
Yeah. So like, to kind of like my friend Elaine that was here when you showed up. Mm-hmm. I've known her for almost 20 years. I was there when her daughter was born.
Yeah.
I was like the whole 9 yards. Like, so that's family to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm getting at is like the people that actually are in your life, like people that are in your life on a daily basis. That's family. You know, like I think family means more than blood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's actually a good way to go about it, because I think a lot of people later in their life, or at least not even necessarily later, like, they start to develop another family outside of, you know,
well, like, you know, and
like just of like close like friends.
well, and I'll be frank, you know, like be frank.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my life right now, like my family, like, dude, you're part of my family.
Thanks,
Fucking
man.
Chad living next door,
Yeah.
Tony, Elaine that was here. Like the family are the people that are in your life that
that are always there for you.
yeah,
And-
no matter what, no matter what. You
well,
know.
it's like the old adage, like you can never pick your family. It's like, well, yeah, you actually kind of can.
Yeah, well,
but-
yeah.
I mean, they're not blood family, but
It's different though.
Yeah.
It's different though. And I wanted to really hit on that because
Mm-hmm. no, you make a very good point.
yeah, because like my family are now, and like I've got my biological family that
Mm-hmm.
I very, very rarely see.
Yeah.
But like my daily life of people that matter to me, that's a family too.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen my dad's family in at least like, oh god, it's probably at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I hate, because I'd love to go up and see them.
Yeah.
I think I saw my brother maybe it was even like 6 months ago.
Really?
That's a lot. Yeah, that was probably the last time.
Didn't you guys go motorcycle riding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did at one point. Yeah.
It was just like popped into my head. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about once a month.
Yeah.
I talked to my sister about a few weeks ago, which is the first time I really talked to her in like a month and like a year and a half actually.
Yeah. Well, like getting.
But oh yeah,
No,
so
I'm just excited.
No, I went off on a tangent, but I was gonna say about like my family is like I kind of went somewhere and then I just went off. But I'm not in a family that's very like close knit or like super
me
like
neither, man.
like-
Well, outside of me, for some
like
I
you know
told
like
you.
really close, or you know we're not like huggers, for instance,
Yeah.
or. I mean, if I saw my sister, you know, I'd give her a hug, but I see my brother and we'll just kind of like shake hands or
What's
whatever.
up, dude?
Because my dad was never like he was never like a hugger or any of that. He wasn't like super like, you know, I don't know, like touchy feely or anything. Well, my whole family really wasn't that way. I think my mom every once in a while was like, "Oh, give me a hug," and I'm just like, "This is weird." Yeah, I always felt that way. It's like
I'm that way too, man.
and even my dad's family, I go around my dad's family, I'm like, yeah, I'll give like, you know, my grandmother, my aunts a hug. But, you know, I see my grandfather, you know, just say like hi, you know, shake his hand or whatever. Not huggers by any means. We're very like kind of like men, I want to say.
Manly men.
Yeah, in that old sense of definition. Which is I kind of feel the way I am. Because I'm like my newest job, or my job now is like a lot of like manual labor. But I enjoy that. And I like kind of getting off work and being dirty.
Yeah.
You know, I get home, I need a shower, and I'm like, and my clothes are all like full of like dirt or whatever, caked in. I'm like, fuck. Shoes are all dusty. I like that. I honestly like it.
It's a sense of accomplishment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
God, so where
Where are we at?
so we already
We rambled there. For,
well, no, so the first one I had was how do you know when you're in a toxic relationship?
we
you think
haven't we haven't talked about that one, or have we?
Kind of.
little
Go.
bit.
Go.
Well, like when you know you're in a toxic relationship is when you're starting to have bad emotions.
Oh.
It's starting.
So we kind of didn't cover this then.
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's like when you're starting to have bad emotions, or you're starting to maybe experience like obsessiveness,
Frustration.
anxiety. You know, I'm not gonna.
I think it's when you need a release too.
Well, I'm not gonna get into like the physical aspect of a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like that's yeah.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about the physical.
Well, I'm going down the whole
yeah.
line.
Go.
Like when
I'm interrupting.
Like when you interact with somebody, when you interact with somebody is a relationship. So like if you have that interaction with somebody and it's negative to your everyday psyche, that's a toxic relationship.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like when
You can apply that to even just not just family or
that's what I'm saying. Anything.
anything.
That's
Anybody in your life, honestly.
Yeah, like if you don't look forward to reacting to that person, if what they say to
If you become frustrated just being around them.
yeah, if what they say to you,
That was my last job.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in my last job.
if what they say to you lingers after they
Oh,
say it,
yeah.
you know, like that's
When you feel you have to analyze.
yeah, when you sit
know,
when
their
you're
words.
when you're by yourself and like, what did they mean by that?
Yeah.
you know, I got
That's one thing I hate about text messages.
Right.
Because you
'Cause
can't really get
take
the
it in context.
You can't get the context of what they're saying. It's like
Yeah.
they are trying to joke around, but then you take it seriously.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know me, dude. I always come.
I have a
at
bad habit of doing that with text.
Well, you know me, dude. I always come at our topics from a weird, like
Yeah.
my angles come out of nowhere.
Well, that's why I like to talk to people in person or on
Yeah.
the phone more. I mean, I don't get the opportunity to do it very often, but when I do, I enjoy it
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Like, you know, every once in a while I'll get a text message from my brother or my sister, but I'd rather just call them up. And that's why I want to talk to my brother. I just call him up.
Yeah. Well, we're from a an older generation, but I enjoy text messages are easy,
They're
quick,
convenient.
but I prefer the phone call.
Yeah, I'd rather have the phone call too.
Yeah, I prefer the phone
And
call.
you're not like wallowing on something later either. Like, oh, you can go back in text history
and go look through it and like
yeah,
reread what
and actually, you know, you can to go for a toxic relationship. Honestly, is like you can look back and be like, that was the moment. Like they pissed me off.
that's where I
That's where I got upset,
Yeah.
and they can just keep going back to that moment again and,
and
again
then
and
reading,
again.
and then what you do is you go through and read the subsequent text messages.
Yeah, and you like get a different reaction of the way it's going.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I wasn't pissed
Well,
off at first, but I was like, then I look back and I'm like, what the fuck were they saying to me?
Well, then you over analyze it in your brain, and like that's one of the big things that I'm bad about.
Yeah,
Like even when like I'll get messages, and then like my quote unquote the interaction I'm going to use is with somebody is like, okay, I'm starting to feel like it's going up or down or north or south.
Yeah.
You guys can't see my hands. But like then I'll go back and like look at the text messages. It's like, what did they say? What did I say? What did they say? What did I say? You know, and that's not healthy.
Well, one question, actually, this might be a good way to kind of finish up this topic, but it's came to my head, and I think this is definitely something we haven't talked about. Is how could you kind of fix or resolve or make a relationship go from being toxic to healthy?
That's interesting. That's really
I like that. I liked that when it popped in my head. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's interesting because here's the thing: is like that phrase I've used more than once tonight is end game.
Oh.
You're gonna have to picture where this end game is going to be, like and I'm no psychologist.
Yeah.
But like say you're two family members, two lovers, two whatever, two friends, and things become toxic. You do at some point have to admit that it can't be fixed.
I think that's one aspect. I think the first thing you have to do though is finally like just not bullshit each other anymore, and finally go to that person and be like, hey, we need to like talk.
Gotta find common ground.
Talk is the very first thing you have to do, and be like, hey, this is it's like you have to be really honest, unfortunately, and you have to get into a really uncomfortable conversation. If you want to try to fix this situation.
It's like, why did I piss you off?
And this is all just my opinion. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not a fucking psychologist by any means.
That's what I was saying. I'm no psychologist.
But this is just kind of how I would go about fixing a relationship. If I want to.
Yeah.
You have to want to fix that relationship.
That's the first step.
Especially with a family member. I personally don't want to fix my relationship with my mother, so that's just another point. But anyway, so start out with talk and be like, look, I want to talk to you and have a serious relationship. Like this relationship we have right now is not healthy.
And compromise has to be in
it really bothers me a lot, and I want to keep having a relationship with you, I want to have a healthy relationship with you, but the path we're on right now is not healthy for me or you. And you tell them how that relationship is affecting you, and be like, look, I'm drinking more,
exactly.
I'm smoking, I'm
self-destructive behavior.
Yeah. It's bothering me psychologically. I can't sleep. It's stressing me out.
Yep. My big thing for me is like when it's all I can think about for the day.
And then that person at the same time, the other person has to be willing to engage in that conversation, because they could just be like, I don't fucking care.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like whether you have to come to terms and realize early if it's going to be fixed or not.
Yeah.
And you can't lose hope.
Yeah.
But you also have to.
And well, and the hard part of this is
you can't force
it was with family, because I did at one point I didn't get into this, but after my dad died, me and my mom we were cool for a little while, and everything was all right, and because we actually talked, and we kind of had a balance, and we were good for a little while. Yeah, there was communication, and then she did some really stupid shit one time. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, so you made the call that this situation is toxic.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that until now, but I did try to fix that relationship at one point. We did for a few months, and then she did something stupid, and
nothing that was.
I didn't want to. It was like that was it for me.
Yeah,
well, I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Well, like,
and it's like, maybe you do need to put an ultimatum in there if you're talking to someone and you want to fix a relationship, and you tell them like, look,
this needs to happen.
Like this needs to happen, and if it's like, I'll give you one chance to fuck up, but after that one chance, that's it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
You hate to say something like that, but it's like you need to actually like talk. You need to give somebody some real consequences.
Well, and I do have another question here.
It's either you want them in your life, or you want to just keep doing what you're doing and just be like fuck off.
Well, my next question is like, when you identify and realize that a relationship is toxic and it can't be fixed, what's the most healthy way to go about it?
What I did, again from personal experience, was I wrote a letter.
Yeah.
I actually found it to be it's actually a really good thing
It's
to
therapeutic.
do. I think to do when actually you're in a relationship with someone or you have a problem with somebody,
write
maybe
down-
just a
write down your
friend. It's like
thoughts.
something that's bothering you. Just honestly, like write a letter to them. Don't even necessarily send it,
Just hand it to them.
but it's like you get all these thoughts out of your head that have been bothering you and building.
That's very wise.
And you can
That's
keep
very
going
wise.
by and revising it. Obviously, if you write that letter and you have an intention of sending it, like start writing it, but then like give it. Wait at least
don't be hot-headed.
No, wait at least a couple days to where you can really like condense down what you want to say. You know, add stuff, delete stuff.
Right.
You don't want to like just send them your first draft.
Yeah, you don't want to rage send a...
Well, and also you really just want to refine what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I did that actually with my mom, and the one thing that was good was she did respect what I had to say, and was just like, I sent her that letter, and I honestly didn't really hear from her like after that. I get a text message from her on my birthday and Christmas, and I just never reply.
Yeah. You've told me that before, actually.
Yeah, but that's the way I got out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually a really healthy thing to do because I explained what my thoughts and emotions were to her, and that way she knew why I was doing what I was doing.
Well, and that's hard to do.
And I think that is actually a good way to go about it: is write a letter to someone and tell them what your issues are.
Take your time and put down your thoughts.
Yeah, and if you are just trying to get out of it, just let them know why you're doing it,
Yeah.
because it is a fair thing to do.
Well, because everybody has emotions.
It's respect. It's respectful of the other person, even though no matter like, if you're in a situation where like some dude, if you're in a relationship where like there's like physical abuse,
Yeah.
no, just get the fuck out of there.
Don't take time to write a letter.
Yeah, don't take time. Just get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And that's an extremely hard thing to do. We didn't even touch on that, but we
Well,
really can't.
I brought it up,
Yeah.
but you are myself would never be. Well, I can't say that. You and I ourselves aren't in that position.
Yeah.
Not to say that we couldn't.
So
be.
I don't want to comment on it if I can't really add.
Well, we don't have educated input.
No.
We don't have educated input.
Try to
on
be
it.
at least somewhat educated.
Yeah. Well, I hope you notice that I'm like, anytime I'm like going at something that I'm not 100% about, I'm like,
Yeah. Well, this is kind of more.
I've learned.
This is kind of more an opinion show, anyway.
Yeah.
It's like.
So, like on the opposite side of toxic relationships, you gotta like in my personal life,
Yeah.
I have a lot of really beneficial, good relationships.
Yeah.
Like that's you got to look at it that way too.
Yeah. We should talk about it more on a positive note, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Like I have a lot of people in my life that I'm glad to have in my life.
Yeah. Well, and you do have to. I mean, even if you are in a toxic relationship, I think not necessarily with like a girlfriend or boyfriend.
Yeah,
because I feel that's a
not-
completely different thing. But
that's not the borderline drawing the line in the sand.
yeah,
Like,
I
that's not-
think you do have to at some point. It could. I mean, honestly, at some point, it could be you that's honestly causing the situation or building that situation in your
That's
mind when when it actually might not be the other person. But you do have to start looking at like yourself a little bit.
you have to assess the
You
situation.
have to, yeah, that's a good point to put it. Is you have to assess the situation and then like look at the good parts maybe.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's good about this relationship?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with weighing the how do you phrase it, the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
One of the big things I touched on more than once is like the human emotional psyche really plays into a lot of like whether you can break something off with somebody or not. Like family member or friend or lover or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotional decisions in there.
Yeah. And I think we're just trying to give advice.
Yeah, I wish
Our unsolicited advice.
Yeah, I'm a bad person to give advice on this. Well, because I'm like I was talking.
But that's why we did like discussing it and just kind of going through the scenarios.
I started the show off with like really like owning up
Yeah.
and like I'm 99% of the time I've been the toxic person.
Yeah.
So like it's
Well, that's step one is recognizing your faults.
Right. Yeah. So it's really interesting to be like on the without like really getting into it, like I'm actually on the other side of the question. You know what I mean? And it's so like I'm like trying to like I'm.
So you're trying to kind of.
I'm trying to give the perspective of the person that, like for me in particular, I realize what I do. I try not to do it, and I still do it. Because there's two sides to this story. Like there's people that are just bad people.
Yeah.
And then I have these practices that I just always fucking do. And no matter how much I am like, don't do it this time, I fucking do it.
But you know what? You're recognizing the behavior.
Yeah. Well, and like
You're trying to not be that person anymore. Though.
exactly. Like one of my big things I'm opening up. Like one of the big things that I have done that has ruined shit so many times, and this is being toxic.
Yeah.
Is like when I'm starting to hang out with a girl, and then she invites me to go hang out with her friends, and I go with her to hang out with her friends, and I get salty because she's talking to them and not me.
Oh yeah.
Hey, so and then like
You kind of want them or
yeah. Well, I just don't want things to be different than when we're by ourselves and then and with other people. But you know, like I actually had a very good positive moment, like the girl I've been telling you that we've been talking about that I've been trying to spend time with. Mm-hmm. Like she invited me over to her house. It was a barbecue and there was a bunch of people there.
Nice.
And I was there and I caught myself feeling like that.
Yeah.
And literally I snapped it out of existence. I told myself, don't be pouty.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, like literally I was like, don't be pouty.
Yeah.
And I was able to like snap out of it. And it made me act differently. It made me be like, don't be pouty. Like she invited you over to hang out with her buddies. Why do you need to be her center of attention? Don't be pouty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm learning, I'm getting better,
Yeah.
but I'm by no means
Change isn't, it's Rome was built in a day type stuff.
Well, the thing is, like you said, like I acknowledged it, and like I was like thinking about it, like in the past, like every time I've been in that scenario, like I get fucking pouty because she's talking to other people and not me. So like I'll go sit over in the corner and be like,
you want them all to yourselves.
yeah, exactly, and that's toxic.
Yeah.
So I was just like, no, I'm not, not doing that. So, but it was a little step forward towards not being toxic.
Yeah. Oh man, so you think we got anything else, man? We went through a lot.
We had a good episode.
We did a lot on this one.
We had a good episode.
There's a lot to unpack, honestly.
Yeah.
This is probably the longest episode of Philosophical Bones we've done.
I'm pretty sure it is, but I feel like we talked about some really good stuff.
I feel
we actually wore our hearts on our sleeves.
Well, I always it's funny because I always feel like this show is a bit of a diary.
Well, yeah.
For me anyway.
Yeah.
And I get to get a lot out.
I'll be honest with you, it's one of my favorites to do.
Oh yeah, dude, I love doing this.
Because you know me, I like to just talk.
I get to talk real deeply and kind of bring stuff up, and I'm like,
I love the shows.
Makes you feel smart,
right? Like I love the shows that we do that I don't have to have a fucking notebook and
I know.
a notebook of notes in front of me.
Yeah,
to where I can just talk. So, but yeah, I was glad to be here for the 21st.
21st, yeah.
I can't believe that, man.
And I think we kind of answered the question, why do we engage in toxic relationships?
Well, we went about it on a bunch of different angles.
Yeah, we did. This is the first time I ever had little bullet points I wanted to talk about.
Well, like just like in closing, I think with toxic relationships, it has a lot to do with what you're going to accept in your life as being a relationship. Yeah. And on the other end of it, if you are a toxic person, it's hard to accept. Yeah. But
and if you are, I almost want to say, like, if you are around someone you have a toxic relationship with, and you want to not, you don't want that relationship to be toxic. Oh god damn it, where was I going with this?
So you don't want the relationship to be toxic?
You don't try to change them.
Just talk.
And don't try to give them advice.
Yeah.
Well, if they truly want to change something or to have a better relationship or anything, they'll ask for it. Mm-hmm. And if you honestly just try to throw advice at people,
it's not going to stick.
It never sticks. I actually think of the old adage. I remember, like, we talked about this once on the show. Actually, it was Kevin Hart. He talked about how he's like, I don't yell at my kids because they're not going to listen to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's exactly. But if I sit there and I have a conversation with them, that's when they'll learn.
You talk to them like
but
an
if
adult.
I just when you talk to them like an adult. But if you just go ahead and start yelling at them, which in a way, if you're giving advice to someone, you were kind of yelling at them in a way. Yeah. But an unsolicited advice.
Well, in my case, with being toxicity, like I'm just gonna keep going on this because like in my case, like when I have a girl or I'm gonna just use the girlfriend thing scenario. When I have a girl come to me and say, "You're doing this," and I don't like it. A lot of times for me, I didn't acknowledge that I was even doing it. So I've had to learn a lot. I've had to learn a lot about it.
I totally agree with that.
And I've had to be like, I'm not doing this consciously. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, it's like me. I have certain mannerisms about myself.
Yeah.
Like even just the way I speak or the way I even write like a text message that I just don't recognize.
Yeah.
like that I
Like,
do.
I hate to
And,
use
but when it's brought up to me, I'm like, oh shit, I am doing that.
well, I hate to use this phrase, but like my grandpa used to say it all the time. It's like a skunk can't smell its own stink.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like for me, a lot of times, like when something's brought to my, that's how I've been learning. When something's brought to my attention, I'm like, oh, I do that.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Like, this is a funny one. A couple of years back, girl I was hanging out with or whatever, and I noticed that she told me, well, I've actually had 2 girlfriends do this with me. It's like, you don't know anything about me, do you? I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Because all I do is talk about myself.
Yeah.
So
That happened to me the other day with my sister talking on the phone. Was
Yeah.
she's like, I would say something like, oh yeah, I used to be this way, and she's like, Nick, you need to recognize, like, you don't really know me anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh shit.
It's like all I
I'm
do
like,
is
you're right.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to.
Well, like my big thing is like when I hang out with a girl, because I'm staying on the same vein. When I hang out with a girl for the first time, I like try to like vomit out, spew out all the stuff that I'm into because I'm
Yeah.
so into everything.
Yeah.
And I don't give them a chance to talk back.
No, I understand that.
Again, that's toxic. Like what I was getting at is like when you try to dominate the relationship, and like you don't get like one of the big issues that I had was it was a girlfriend a long time ago. She was, and you know, big respect, she was awesome.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know, like during our breakup, she was like, "You don't know anything about me, do you?" And I could not answer any of the questions. Like I didn't know where she was born. I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know like all these little things. But she would sit here and watch Dragon Ball Z with me. That makes me toxic for her, dude.
Yeah.
You know, because like she was sacrificing what she was sacrificing being with somebody that knew about her to fucking watch Dragon Ball Z with me.
It's funny. I just had the thought come in my head. Like the first step, was it the first step to recovery is admitting
Admission, yeah.
or admitting addiction,
Yeah, exactly.
or admitting you're an addict.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're kind of doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm well, like I said, I'm hitting a new point in my life where I'm like really trying to,
Not be a dick.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
No, dude, yeah.
Oh, I'll totally acknowledge I can be a total asshole at times.
Well,
to people.
well,
And that's something I don't recognize when I do it.
Well, the fucked up thing is that what you just said,
Uh-huh.
legit. I fucking can't believe I'm legit a sociopath.
Yeah.
You know, like so that's toxic, dude. But you know, the thing is I understand, and I'm starting to finally see. You know, so like, you know, I hope I'm not like that to.
All we can do is continue to work on ourselves,
Yeah,
recognize
dude.
our faults, and try to fix them, and
Yeah.
just make ourselves better.
Well, and like one of the big things
And-
one of the big things I got to say is like if you do recognize that you're the toxic person in the situation, it's your responsibility to fix it.
That's a good point.
It is.
a good
It
point.
really is. Yeah.
But what about the other person if they're toxic?
Well, that's going to be
Do you
situation.
still have a responsibility to?
That's going to be situation by situation.
Yeah.
Like if you're toxic to each other,
Oh, that's like
that just needs to stop.
Yeah.
Like if you're toxic to each other, like I had a girlfriend a long time. Like, I keep going back to girlfriends.
Hey, they're best examples.
Yeah, like she was enabling me to be toxic, and then I was enabling her to get mad at me for being toxic. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, like so, and it wasn't. To this day, I don't harbor any bad feelings to her, but our juju, so to speak, when our energies came together, we were just mutually toxic to each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to realize that. It's hard to.
true.
It's hard to. You know, like it literally takes like a friend being like, "You guys argue a lot."
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna paraphrase something that was said. Like this girl that I was with told me that she was gonna dance on one of my loved ones' graves.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Damn.
That
is not a good relationship.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is I actually got back with her twice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Exactly.
Toxic relationship, man.
Dude, I'm not.
Comfort, you know.
I'm not healthy in
Yeah.
relationships, but you know, like
Was the sex good?
yeah.
I was sorry. One I didn't even mention. I did actually have an unhealthy, toxic relationship with a woman once. I can't believe I'm just thinking this now. And actually, when like one thing was she was really good in bed.
That's the hard part, man.
But that wasn't really why I stayed with her. I don't know why I stayed with her for so long.
It was
honestly.
funny how quick my response
I think it's
was.
just because of the fact I liked being in a relationship.
Well, you end up falling in love with being.
I got comfortable.
Well, you end up falling in love with being in love,
Yeah.
and like that's not healthy.
I'm not sure I ever really loved her. I thought I did.
I do. I'm 36. Can never say I've ever been in love. Genuinely been in love.
No.
Yeah. Like I've been in what you would call lust, but like I've never genuinely been in love.
Yeah.
So that's where the big thing is. Like you get in toxic relationships. Like I had the lust, thinking that I was in love,
Yeah.
and then fucking doing all these things that made their life not good.
Yeah.
You know, like them telling me like, hey, I'm at work. I got to go to work for blah, 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 set amount of time. And then getting pissed off when I don't hear back from him in that set amount of time.
Yeah.
Or like looking into like every little tiny word they say to me.
Yeah. I've done it.
It's not, you know, and I feel bad that I've turned the show around, but like I'm talking about being the toxic person.
No, it's cool. It's getting that perspective, man.
Well, and the thing is, I'm starting to learn that.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, like I'm almost 40 years old. And continue being the toxic person is I'm not going to end up with anything good.
Yeah.
all I'm going to do is give myself anxiety, depression, and loneliness, continually being the toxic person. So I'm finding these little tiny things that
you're trying to improve yourself.
Well, like
you're honestly kind of a little bit of an example for maybe somebody else who's listening to the show.
Yeah,
I think we're trying to give advice. If you are that toxic,
well,
you know, if you're that person, here's some advice to help.
Yeah,
or if you're not the person who isn't, maybe maybe we're trying to give you a way out. Or
myself, as I'm honestly trying to reach out to that person that might be creating the situation and not really acknowledging it. Like, because that's toxicity. You know, like I'm sticking with that word. Like toxicity is like it's something that can be controlled.
Yeah.
And if you're just that way, and that's the only way you're ever going to be. There's whatever, dude, that's you.
Yeah.
You know, like, do whatever, dude, that's you. But, like, if you want to have something that's not toxic and healthy, like, seriously, think about
do some work.
Yeah. Think about the 50-50.
Right?
That's the way I always put it. That's the way I always put it. Because I had a girlfriend tell me one time, like, I was, like, maybe 17 or 18. And she said this to me. She said, there's no such thing as a 50-50 relationship. And my response at the time was like, well, what's wrong with trying for that? So, but you know, and that was my 15-year-old self saying that.
So again, we could totally go on this.
I'm sorry,
hour.
Man. I'm sorry.
I honestly just don't have the time personally, but this is honestly this has been the longest episode of Philosophical Bones we've done.
It was a good one though.
This was a really good one in my opinion. It was definitely one of our like
it was deep.
best. It was very deep, and you got a lot out of it, and I got a lot out of it, and I think that's actually something we tend to do on this.
Like it's the most I've opened up.
Yeah, we get a lot out on this show.
Yeah,
man.
we
really do. And I think it's honestly very cathartic for us. I believe.
Yeah, it's therapy, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, this has been question 21. Why do we engage in toxic relationships? And I think we hit like everything.
Yeah, more than once. We like circled back onto a couple things.
Oh yeah, and so I hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, if you want to, I
had a lot of fun.
Oh,
I had a lot of fun
too.
Good one, man.
It's good being back.
Yeah.
As always, if you want to pose a question, hit us up on Instagram or Facebook or nerdybonescast@gmail.com. And because we always love it was kind of cool getting a question tonight.
It was, yeah. That's actually one of our first.
It's our first
submitted questions. Yeah, nice.
So
we tore that shit up.
That's right. So I just want to say in the end, keep thinking.